Hope you're well and welcome to the training log number 8. So in this particular session I'm training lower body plus chest. So if you remember, I'm training my weaker body parts, shoulders, back and arms 3 times a week, and then chest and legs twice per week. So if you're still yet to see the exact program I'm following, if you type in new program James Layton Fitness into YouTube, you should be able to find it and I go into the program in detail. The other thing I just want to point out, starting to get a little bit better at keeping my head in a more neutral position with the squats. As I mentioned before on a previous training log, one of the tendencies I have is to almost look towards the ceiling or kind of overextend my neck. So I'm trying to keep my head in a much more neutral position or even look down slightly. So this is still not quite there yet, but there's certainly some improvements there, so I'm pleased with that. Next thing with the Romanian deadlifts, unfortunately you can't see it on the footage, but I'm actually standing on a small weighted disc. Now the reason for this is essentially the discs they have at balance lines are actually the same size as the bumper plates, all of them, whereas in a lot of gyms you have the bumper plates and then the normal size discs. And as such, when I'm doing normal Romanian deadlifts without a disc or a step, I can't actually get a full range of motion. As such, I'm trying to elevate myself slightly on a weighted disc. You could do this on a step, but it's just worth keeping in mind if you've got bigger discs at your gym, if you can't get a full range of motion with the Romanian deadlifts, feel free to stand on like a disc or a step or something like that just to get a greater stretch. Next thing you'll notice with my bench press, I'm still not particularly pleased with the arch I'm creating. I like to create a little bit more of a greater arch in my lower back. This will allow me to be in a better position, a little bit more powerful position, allow my chest to be higher. It will actually mean the bar will have less distance to travel, and as a result I should be stronger, but I'm still working on kind of creating that arch as much as possible. But from the footage it's really interesting because I still look relatively flat, but it feels like, to me, when I'm bench pressing, it feels like I've got a arch. There's a lesson there. I think it's worthwhile, if you can, trying to record some of your lifts, because often what you think you're doing isn't actually what you're doing. To actually have some footage to look at and to be objective and think, actually, am I doing this exercise correctly? And then you can look back and then you can make the necessary changes to improve it. I think it's very powerful. So the other brief thing I wanted to mention, I don't want to make this video too long, but I want to just briefly discuss this concept of sticking with the same exercises over a prolonged period of time. I think a lot of people have this tendency to change up their exercises too frequently, especially their big compound lifts. This just simply isn't necessary and it can be counterproductive. So in short, you really want to be sticking movements that you can progressively get stronger in over time. Now if you're constantly changing your exercises, how can you objectively measure whether you're getting stronger or not? You can't be objective. Now keep in mind, within the muscle building phase, one of the key things we're trying to increase is volume over time. Again, if we're changing our exercises too frequently, we cannot objectively measure whether we're increasing volume over time. Another key thing to realize is weight training is a skill. When you're practicing certain lifts, that it's a skill, and as such that skill needs to be practiced frequently. There's actually a learning phase when you're constantly changing exercises all the time. So keep this in mind. Try and stick to exercises for a prolonged period of time, especially with your big compound lifts. Feel free to change your accessory work semi-frequently, but make sure you're really sticking with the same key compound lifts over a prolonged period of time. That's going to allow you to make the most amount of strength gains, to increase volume the most, and ultimately get you to where you want to be. Hopefully enjoy the footage, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care.